Hi everybody, I'm in Amsterdam and I'm here with Luc and I'm at a church and you're a street pastor and I'm not going to pronounce the name of this church right.
It's the Protestant Church of Amsterdam.
Okay.
It's that easy.
Well, and I've known Luc for a little bit, but we've been in different time zones, so we haven't really interacted a lot.
No.
And I was here speaking in Amsterdam, and he reached out and he started talking about the rough sleepers, the people that are homeless, that are on Twitter, and you call it
Straatvogels.
which means street birds.
Street birds, yes.
And oh my gosh, they actually got the idea from Underheard New York, which Willie, with their interns from BBH, they got the idea from my earlier work with We Are Visible. And today we just had Cokes and water and a couple French fries with a couple who are now in housing.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. And they're in a couple of cities. So tell me about your street birds.
Well, it all started with a tweet from someone who I don't know, who tweeted just the YouTube film from Underheard in New York, said, "Oh, this is amazing." And then I replied to him, said, well, do you think this can happen in the Netherlands as well? And he replied back, say, well, why not? And then I said, well, let's put it up together. And he has a headhunt bureau. He's the director of that. And then he phoned me and said, well, I have nothing with homeless people. I can't do anything for my company, but it's a fascinating project. I'll put 1 week of time in it, and if it works, we'll do it. And a week later he phoned me back and he said, well, I got 5 smartphones and the biggest phone company in the Netherlands is sponsoring us. So now, look, you're gonna set up the project. And the rest is history. So we started with 4 people here in Amsterdam. And then after a year when the project went really well, it was well for the people tweeting, and it got a lot of attention in the media and otherwise, and a lot of good interaction. So then I sent an email around to the other street pastors in the Netherlands and said, this is a good idea, you have to copy this. Then another city started, and from that another city. Now we have 4 cities. And it is interesting that in all these cities, different groups of people are organizing it. Yeah. So in the first city, it's the street pastor together with the biggest mental health organization in that town. In the last one, it's just 2 volunteers who are setting it up. And the other one, it's Salvation Army with the city of Eindhoven and mental health care and psychiatric, a whole kind of bunch of big organizations doing it together. It's a fascinating group.
So we're just, fellowshipping with a couple of the guys who are now in housing, which is great. And they're talking about how Twitter helped them, and then earlier you were talking about how even the parliament here was interacting with guys, and how you did a brief survey on how it's changing public perceptions. You want to talk about that?
Yes. Well, I asked people, why do you follow the Straatvogels? And then the majority said, well, we're already in contact with homeless people through work, or we've been homeless ourselves, or we're volunteering something else. But then also, did it change your perception on homelessness? And more than 1/3 said yes. And that I found fascinating. So people already somehow have a lot of goodwill towards homeless people, still by interacting directly through Twitter, which is very, very direct, still have a different view. And it's very personal. People started following because they found it an interesting project, but they keep on following because they found Peter is an interesting man, or Frans, he has these nice tweets. And not just about street life, but he has these funny remarks, or he makes these beautiful pictures. It is personal, and that's very good.
The personal connections. Any favorite stories of your guys out there interacting over Twitter?
Oh, well, Peter had this wonderful tweet when he was...
And Peter's holding the camera for us.
Yeah, that's why I'm pointing in that strange direction for you.
He's no longer homeless, but he's still on Twitter. We'll put his Twitter feed up here.
But when he was homeless, he once got rained out of the place he was staying at the time, and then he tweeted a picture of the bus shelter he was staying in, and at night, and he tweeted the photo, and then there was a schoolgirl who had to go through the rain to her school, reacting to that, saying, "Oh, I don't feel so sorry for myself anymore now, seeing that picture."
Wow.
So that was so strong.
Wow.
And that's the whole thing. They're just getting people individual stories and really let people being touched like that.
Well,
that's
so
good.
many charities, nonprofits, faith-based organizations are almost scared to give the people they serve a voice like that.
Well, it is scary because they have strange voices and they have a lot of critique, and they when you do something wrong, they will put it right into your face.
Right.
And when you do something right, they put it right in your face. But if you trust that you're doing a good job,
Yes.
then why not let people show it?
Right.
And when they have critique. So with one of the others, Frans, he has been at a time, and also Peter, you've been very angry with me at times. And you shouted it out on Twitter.
Peter's nodding his head.
That's true. And then I just reacted like I would do him face to face. I reacted the same way on Twitter. And then you got over followers reacting to that. And some went with Peter and said, oh, all this welfare and this church, they're lousy people. And others went with me. Oh, you do a wonderful job. Well, that's okay. I know. I feel confident in the work I do. Right. So let people just have an opinion. If they don't like what I'm doing, oh, okay. Yeah. But now it's the things you would normally do one-on-one was now out in the open on Twitter. I found it fascinating. It's really good.
Wow. I'm so encouraged and so thankful we went out in the park today, handed out a couple pairs of Hanes socks, got to meet the guys that are on Twitter, and then got to spend some time with you. And I had to share this story. And if you're out there and you're running homeless services or even a church group, man, I empower you to maybe, like what I did the other day of getting James a tablet thanks to a couple of donors. I mean, sandwiches are needed and housing are needed, but how do you better your life if you can't connect to the internet? And then as an activism programmer, as they would say here in Europe, campaigning, I mean, gosh, let the people that you're serving do the talking. It's so very powerful.
It is, yes.
So thank you very much for showing me around today and
thank you
for your work, and I'm really, really impressed.
Thank you. Big compliment.
Thank you, everybody.